Who are the gutsy folks who pave the trails of the great outdoors? Whether by hiking boots, cycling wheels, or river paddles, they are the Trailblazers. Hey gang, and thanks for joining us today at Tantrum Ralph Studio 3. I'm Will Meadows.
And I'm Sara Meadows. Today we are reviewing the game Trailblazers from Bitewing Games. It's from designer Ryan Courtney and features artwork of Seth Lucas.
This is a 1 to 8 player route building game that features card drafting and simultaneous play. So regardless of your player count, it's only going to take you about 30 minutes to play a game, which is pretty slick.
The play of the game is pretty simple. There are 4 rounds for each game, and each round you'll start by choosing one of your 3 camp types to lay down.
Then players will draft 2 cards at a time from their hand and add them anywhere they'd like to their campgrounds.
Cards can be played in any orthogonal orientation and can overlap existing trail cards in part or in whole.
After each turn, players can claim any goals they have achieved, and after the 4th round, everyone will perform final scoring to see who the bravest blazer is. So you can't jump into the world of parks and trails without acknowledging that Keymaster has set a very high standard with their games that have this kind of same genre, and I really feel like Bitewing delivered well on that because I felt like there was going to be like potentially disappointment just because of how great some of the Keymaster games are. This one really delivered on gameplay and art. I really did enjoy it. In this game, you are building out your trails around your different park sets, and you're going to have different goals each time. There's also a bunch of different ways of playing the game that come with it. And I really enjoyed our gameplays of Trailblazers. Tell us a little bit about some of those expansions, some of the things you enjoyed.
So I like that there is a base game in the box that is very simple for everybody at the table to play. It also plays up to 8 players, which I really enjoyed, that nothing changes besides if you're over 4 players, you just add a second deck of cards. That's it.
Now your gameplay experience will be a little different based on your player count. However, the rules don't change. Nothing else in the game changes.
The higher player count, sure, you're going to be drafting and you're probably not seeing the cards again. That's really the only difference. With a low player count game, you can look through the hand and know that, after 2 turns it's going to come back around to me. That's really the only difference. But the time is the same, and the only other thing is you may be vying for goals. Those may come into play a little more seriously in a higher player count game because you're going to need to really work hard to get those goals completed very quickly. As far as my experience with gameplay, I really enjoy this. There is a fun puzzliness to figuring out what you're going to work on because you really do have 3 different sets of trail types that you probably do need to be working on, at least 1 or 2 of them starting off the bat so that you have a plan in mind, and then plans have to change because of the cards that you get, and so working through those problems as they arise and solving them in a fun way.
Yeah, so to back up just a smidge on the lower player counts, you are drafting cards, so you're going to have a hand of cards, you're going to be picking 2, you'll kind of be able to see what other things might be in, that might come back to you if you've got a smaller player count. If you've got a higher player count, then you're literally just picking the 2 best cards that work for your setup each round, which is nice. We explain the rules for the basic version of the game. There are some additional expansions in the game that allow you to do more than just try to connect your paths and achieve those goals. The game features a bunch of little cool animeeples, and so one of the expansions, I don't know what it's called,
the animal expansion,
has you placing out animals whenever they appear on your cards, and the things that allows you to do are score ascending point values for the more unique animals that you have on your trail over the course of the game. However, they also are going to lock in your path and not allow you to cover up or lay other cards over those in the future, which can be crazy hard. Like, one of the coolest parts about this game is that every card can kind of be overlapped in a number of different ways, which gives you a lot of flexibility towards achieving your goals. Locking an animal is going to give you points, but keep you from making changes later on in the game.
Yeah, and those animals aren't found on every card, so there's not a ton of them that show up in the game, so you really need to you also, it's a sliding scale of points, so putting one animal out is really only going to get you 1 point. So you probably need to make those decisions about how many animals are going to be visible on your paths. The other expansion is the adventure expansion, and that one, gameplay is quite a bit different because you're not going to use the goal cards that you normally set out for everybody, and you will use some of the same rules as the animals, except for you will, on round 2, select that second camp that you'll start the round with, and then the third camp is discarded, and you have the 2 that you've selected, say kayak and hiker. You will then set out those 2 people that you have, and they will start going on the trail that you have started to build for them, and they're going to move 3 spaces each time. There's little trail markers that you would normally score points for each path, but those hikers or kayakers or whatever are going to keep moving, and you're going to gain more and more points as they see more and more stuff. So if you finish early, then you're losing out on a lot of points, but you also get no points if you don't finish their trail by the end of the game.
Yeah, so the rules for the game are pretty straightforward. You're drafting cards and laying them down to build your paths out on the board. However, because of the different expansions that you can play, you've got a really kind of huge replayable variety of options to you as you play the game. And it's going to be, like I said, different experiences on your player count too. And you can play up to 8 players, which is huge. So lots and lots of things going on in Trailblazers. I really personally enjoyed the gameplays that we've had. I'm looking forward to trying it at 8 players. We haven't tried that yet. That would be interesting to see what does that do. Does it just take up the entire table? Obviously. Does it really change your strategy in the game? That'll be an interesting thing that I'm looking forward to trying out.
Yeah, also comes with a solo mode, and this solo mode has a huge checklist of things to try and achieve. So it has, I would say, several hours of gameplay for the solo mode, and I looked through the checklist, they're not all easy things to try and build out with your trails. So something that you can work for on the kind of like you have all the little passports for visiting lots of different parks. This has a great little checklist of things that you might want to try and achieve on your solo mode trails. Yeah,
so if you enjoy pattern building and path creating games, if you are interested in games that play from 1 to 8, or if you enjoy just the idea of parks and the aesthetic that goes with that, definitely check out Trailblazers from Bitewing Games. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning in, following along, liking our videos, and all that great stuff here at Catch Your Mouse.